guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name's Lydia and I'm a first year medical student in the UK. Today I wanted to make a video all about how I study anatomy. Now at the start of the year I found anatomy really overwhelming, and to be honest I still do. At this point in first year though, I feel a little bit more confident. I think I've been experimenting with lots of different things and I found different study methods that work for me, so I thought today would be a good time to sit down and share those with you. I know you guys are really good at sharing ways that you find helpful to study anatomy, so if there's any other resources that I don't mention today in this video, then please comment down below because I am definitely still looking for more ways. But yeah, let's get into the video. So I was umming and ahhing at the start of the year about whether or not to buy an anatomy atlas, and in the end I went to my uni library and I picked up this one. It's the Grant's Atlas of Anatomy. Now I know people do buy them, but I think my top tip would be that if you are going into your first year, you don't need to buy one. The university libraries are going to have so many copies of anatomy atlases, so don't feel pressured to spend the money. But if you want to, then obviously having one is going to be useful in the long term. You're probably going to use it. However, since I have got this one out of the library, I honestly don't go to it that often, but I do think it is a good reference point. It is by no means the way that I study anatomy for each subject. I don't sit down with this atlas and read through it. I just couldn't, like, there's too much detail. But if there's something I want to look at and just focus on and make sure that I have everything clear, then I will open this up and just have a look. If there's a part of the lecture I don't really understand, I might just whip this out, have a look, make sure that I'm understanding what's going on. I do think having an atlas is a good thing to have, but I really want to stress that you don't need to go out and buy one. Get down to your library, go and find one. I did want to get hold of like a Netta's one, but they are like gold dust. So I've stuck with this one, and to be honest, they're all going to have pretty much the same information in them. And then next is probably one of my favourite ways to study anatomy, and that is with my Netta's Anatomy colouring book. I will link this one in the description because a lot of people do ask me which one I use, and I think this one is really good. I like how the images are really clear, but at the same time it's not tedious. Like, there's not too much to colour in, which I think is a good thing, because if you're spending that much time colouring in the book, you know, it's going to waste time. So I do think it's got the balance right of, you know, a little bit of colouring, but also for the most part you are just studying the anatomy. It's also full of information, so while I'm doing the colouring I do find myself sort of reading over the descriptions and things like that. At the end of every chapter there's also review questions, so you can actually check whether or not you've been taking in the things that you're learning while you're colouring. But to be honest, I think the best thing about this is I find myself reaching for it the most at the end of a day of lectures, when I kind of want to do some consolidation but my brain is kind of frazzled and I just want to chill out, because it doesn't always feel like you're doing lots of work when you're using the colouring book, obviously, because it's a colouring book. So the next resource that I want to talk to you about is KenHub. Now, if you watch my videos and you've seen my study with me's, then you'll know that I actually use KenHub a lot, and it is one of my favourite ways to study anatomy, which is why I'm so excited to be working with them on today's video. So I want to say thank you to KenHub for sponsoring this video. So I use KenHub as a way to get to grips with any new content from lectures, but also as a way to revise for my exams. And I think the best thing about KenHub is the variety of ways that you can study on their website. They have detailed videos on every topic, which I often find are clearer than some of my lectures. They break everything down in a way that's really clear and easy to understand. So when I'm struggling, I do find KenHub is my first port of call. Another great feature is the quizzes, because I find active recall is the best way to figure out what I do and don't know. They also have a feature where you can tailor the quizzes to what you want, so you don't have to just limit it to that particular subject you're studying that day. You can decide to study lots of different things and it will quiz you on those. I do find it really useful just to be able to log on to KenHub and test myself on whatever topic I want and just quickly identify what I need to go over again. And yeah, I just think anatomy is a very complicated subject. It can feel so overwhelming, but the way that they structure their videos and their articles, it's so clear. It takes you through things in such a logical way, and that's just really worked for me. So I've definitely built my confidence in anatomy using KenHub. Honestly, if you're struggling with anatomy, I really couldn't recommend them enough. And KenHub are kindly offering a 10% discount to all my subscribers, so if you go in the description box and click the link, you'll be able to get your discount on the premium membership and check out the resources available for yourself. If you just want to get to grips with the website before signing up to premium, they also have a non-premium version. Okay, so next anatomy resource is my whiteboard. Here's one I made earlier. Ooh, it's absolutely massive. Okay, I'm gonna put this down because actually it's too big. So one thing I struggle with when making anatomy notes is I am such a perfectionist. I always want my notes to be neat. So I decided to buy a giant whiteboard for anatomy revision. I really love using my whiteboard to revise anatomy. I love how I don't need to worry about being neat. I can just jot everything down, draw things out quickly that I remember, and then add things, annotate. If there's something I'm really struggling to get my head around, I can just draw it out 10 times until it's solid in my brain. I just think as somebody who really wants to make their notes neat, the whiteboard is so freeing for me because I can just draw what I like, there's no consequences, and at the same time it's one of the best ways I think to make sure things are sticking in your head. I don't know about you, but sometimes I just find it really hard to sit there and stare at images on my screen and hope that things are going in. So to physically sit there and draw things out is honestly a really good way of making sure that you know your structures and getting your labels right. I would also recommend getting a few different coloured pens because it's a good way to distinguish between different nerves and veins and arteries and things like that. So definitely invest in a couple of different coloured pens if you're gonna get a whiteboard. So yeah, I'll link my whiteboard in the description because I got it off Amazon and it was pretty affordable, especially for the size. Another amazing resource that I've come across this year is Tamra's notes. Now, Tamra is a 5th year medical student and she has created this book all by herself, and she kindly gifted it to me a few months ago. These are all her hand drawings that she's drawn over the years of medical school, and she's put them all into one big anatomy guide. And honestly, this has been a lifesaver for me because everything is laid out so clearly. I found that this book complements my lectures really well. A lot of it is my lecture notes put in a more concise way. If I'm finding that my lecture's rambling and I'm getting a bit lost, I do reach for this book to make sure that I'm kind of still on the right track and I understand where we're going. Here's a quick flick through of what you get. But honestly, I love it. I use this all the time. I'll put a link in the description if you want to go and get hold of your own copy of Tamra's notes. She sells them in her Etsy shop, so I'll link that one below. And I'll also link her Instagram below because I do find her posts about medical school really interesting. And then the last thing I want to show you is an iPad app. I use the Visible Body app. I love how on these apps you can isolate different body parts, you can look at different systems and select what you want to do. You can rotate them, make sure you're clear on what they look like from different angles. So I really would recommend getting hold of one of these apps. Now, I know that these iPad, tablet anatomy apps can be quite expensive, maybe about £20 a go, which I know isn't a lot, but I mean £20 is £20. So what I would say is I got mine for free through the university, so it definitely is worth checking with your uni if you can get these apps through them for free, because I mean that's saving some money. I'll link the one I use below anyway. It's called Visible Body. Maybe that's the one that your university uses as well, but yeah, I would definitely recommend one of those. So that is all of the anatomy resources that I've been using this year. Again, if you have any more recommendations, then please leave them in the comments because that's really useful to me and anyone else watching this video. That is everything for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video.